Hello, BookTube. I'm going to be starting a vlog type series, and it's going to, from now until I don't know how long, sort of chronicle my sort of daily struggle with COVID and everything that it has caused. But I thought I would jump off with something of sort of telling you about uh, and what has happened to me up to this point with long COVID. Um, Sort of a booktuber's guide to surviving long COVID. And it is a very personal one because my experiences are going to be similar to other people's. I'm aware of that, but also there's going to be unique things, and that's to every person. I'm going to be calling my series My COVID Days and COVID Nights. But in January 25th, 2021, to be exact, at early in the morning, about 5:30, I began to get pain in my chest that went down my arm, and my heart started racing. Ambulance was called. My heartbeat was getting close to 400 beats a minute when the paramedics got here. By the time I was rolled on to the chariot, it had calmed down dramatically. So the initial, or well, right at the beginning, they're thinking it was a heart attack. Like all the symptoms prove that. And then they do a blood test, and it showed that there was damage to my heart. So I needed to have an angiogram. That's where a camera is stuffed up your. No, don't go there, and I'm not going there either. An artery that either in your groin, or in this case, it was in my wrist, and it goes into your heart, and they check. They check your pipes, in other words, to see if there's plaque in them. So that couldn't be done at my local hospital here, so I had to be farmed out to Cambridge, and that was done there. But by the time I got to Cambridge, well, before I left my hospital here, I like there was somebody on the ward on in the same room with me that had COVID. And by the time I got to Cambridge and was tested, I had COVID. They did the test for the angiogram, and kind of humorous here. I was told that because of my weight and because going through my wrist, because they can't go through my groin, and there can be problems with going through the arteries in your wrist, kinks and so forth, and roundabouts and everything. And there were, I could feel it. But I was told that it was like a 3 to 4% rate that it could I could die on the table while they were doing this. And I thought, well, it has to be done, and 3 to 4% isn't very high. So I get and this is all unique to the person, so it's not across the board, but because of health things. So I get on the table. They doohickey in a great big sort of plunger, in a sense, into my wrist. And the doctor asked me, "Oh, did they tell you about the risks?" I said, "Yeah." They said about 3 to 4%. And he goes, "No, no, no, it's not 3 to 4. It's 30 to 40%," and then shoves the catheter in. Okay, so too late. It's happening. So obviously, I didn't die, but it turned out, thankfully, my pipes are clean. and other than just some very, very minor plaque in some smaller arteries, like extremely minor. And so, and it's taken 2 years that it's basically saying that it probably wasn't a heart attack. It was something else, which they still don't know. One doctor was saying, well, I had cardiologists there arguing, one saying it was a heart attack and one saying it wasn't at the time. And one thought it could be something that was a genetic thing that I had that is just something that would happen, and it made no difference of anything, whether I had the plaque or not. But if I had the plaque, the result of it could have been a lot worse. But anyway, that I'm in the hospital there, and I started, getting symptoms because I was in for about a week there of COVID, and I was having difficulty breathing. I couldn't lay down. My taste disappeared. My smell completely well, no, when I say taste disappeared, I could taste apple juice. I could taste that, but nothing else. Nothing else. I couldn't smell anything. So I was released. I was brought home, and I came to sit exactly where I'm sitting now. And for 2 months, I sat in this chair and dozing. I could not sleep. I couldn't lay down because of my breathing. I was taken a couple times by ambulance because my oxygen levels were extremely low, and then released and came back here. So 3 weeks, I did not eat anything. 4 weeks, I think on the 4th week, I started eating a little bit. I was drinking a little. I was drinking. And just, sitting here dozing all the time. When I first came back, I felt pretty good. I actually made a video. Like I always, when I say pretty good compared to what I was, or what I was going to feel. So anyway, and this is, like I say, this is all things. This is my anecdote. This is my experience. And I started getting pains in my feet, my ankles, fever, feeling freezing cold at times, like loss of appetite, diarrhea, then constipation, weird sort of brain things like, well, definitely brain fog. But the main thing was the breathing. That was the difficult, and not sleeping. Because I would rest, like I'd be so tired that, and I still don't sleep properly. I rest and I go into a very, very low level of, I guess, sleep, but I'm aware of my surroundings. I hear what's going on, and it's a very eerie thing. I will doze and I'll pretend that I'm reading. I swear that I'm reading, but I'm not. I'm actually dozing. So, and that means that at that time I needed about 20 hours a day plus of this, just sitting here and not doing anything and resting. And then I'd have a couple hours that I'd be sort of awake. I watched a few things. I tried to read. I could not concentrate on anything. I talked to a few friends, but it was very difficult. I couldn't even remember their names at times. I'd get distracted. This continued for many months. And this was like when I came back in February of 2021. By May, I started reading again, but I soon realized I could not read nonfiction. My cognitive ability was just not up to it. I could not. It was just so difficult to try to figure out what I was reading. So I was reading fiction slowly, and so that's what I did. That was my survival sort of mechanism, was reading, and then eventually starting to do BookTube videos again on the material that I was reading. And it continued on. I think around June or July, I had a home visit for the first vaccine, and within a couple hours they left. I was so sick, both ends, vomiting, diarrhea, like for hours. Could barely get into bed. It took me over a month to recover from that, and it was horrible. Breathing difficulties again. And constantly throughout this, I would get pains in various parts of the body. It seemed like every single area that I've injured myself in the past was aggravated and painful. And even like there were times like I'd seem to climb to a plateau and I'd be okay for a little while, and then I'd crash. And it depended on how long. Sometimes it was shorter periods of crashing to longer periods. It's still happening, but this was like I'm basically this is the first year. But yeah, the pains. I've never felt cold before. At times, I felt really cold. My feet would pain. My knees would ache. Joint pain was at times excruciating. And again, I couldn't lay down very often. I could only lay down for about the first year. I could lay down for about 3, maybe 4 hours and rest before I had major breathing difficulties that I had to get up. And if I waited too long, the breathing difficulties got out of control. Yeah, that's basically was the first year. And then I started getting a little better, but it was like every day I don't know, and I still don't know what is going to happen. For instance, a couple of weeks ago, I had a really good week of reading. My brain was working top notch. Well, I keep saying top notch at times because it's not like it was before. But there's other things like I began to lose weight. I still don't have appetite at times. I will go some days, 2 days without eating, without even realizing it. If I'm actually doing a good reading stint, I don't realize that I haven't eaten because I don't have much of an appetite. For the first year until I started taking vitamin B12, I think it is, supplements, and getting vitamin B shots because I was low on that. That long COVID caused that. My hair was falling out. My hair is much, much thinner than it ever was. I was pulling out handfuls of it. It also, they took, I never had diabetes before, and blood sugar level at times goes really high, and it doesn't seem to be in correlation to what I'm eating. That seems to be another issue with it. So I am on a metformin. It seems to be controlled at the moment. But also, too, I have found that it has affected my thyroid. So I am now on thyroid medication that I think is occasionally doing a little bit, but not a lot yet. I'm hoping for it to work better. And breathing, as I say, breathing difficulties still happen. Like my allergies to perfume is a lot worse. So that has caused me to be hospitalized for breathing. And the last time that was, I was below 60% on oxygen levels, and so I had to be put on nebulizers, and which I have another issue with the shingles that I've had in my left eye twice, that it can affect the nerve, and I have transient blindness. So for, I don't know, was it 6-8 weeks, I couldn't see out of my left eye. It came back, but that's always an iffy thing, and it's like that is not caused by the COVID, but the COVID caused the breathing difficulty more, which then I had to take the nebulizer, which then caused, and you can see the progression there. And I also am low on iron and other minerals in my body, which I never was before. Everything was fine. So there's many issues, and it differs all the time. And for some reason now, my blood pressure has gone up, and it's been controlled for a long time. Strange thing is, when my blood pressure has gone up, my heart rate has dropped. My pulse. At rest, my pulse is anywhere from, it can be 50 to 60. It's never been that low in my life, ever. So that's an oddity. And as I say, it's every day. I don't know what's happening. And when I get more tired, I don't rest as much, then the cognitive ability or the diminished cognitive ability happens. And there are things like I cannot remember a name. It's something simple, or even simple words like black or Blu-ray. And I know it's there, and I will try to pull it out, but if I'm in a discussion, I'm umming and ahhing. You can see on the videos a lot of times that this is the case. I can't keep a constant thought at times. So I will say, oh, those things that you put into a player, it's circular, it's small, it's a disc, and you have a movie on it, and then somebody will say, yeah, that's it. And then once I hear the Blu-ray, I have it now on my tongue, in a sense. But it's to get there, to get it from my brain into, and I know exactly what I'm talking about, but I can't get the word out. And there's simple words at times, but also when I'm reading at times, I was going to read the first translation of Three Musketeers last month, and it was annoying me. It was very much annoying me because they were reading. I mean, they see, like I'll say these wrong words. I'll connect things that are wrong at times as well. But on this case, it was like the characters are going. Well, they're going to the Louvre, and I'm thinking, well, why are they going to the art gallery? But you see, one side of my brain, like there's one part of my brain knowing that this is before it was an art gallery. It was a palace. And, but every time it comes up, I have this conflict in my brain. And as I say, I'll conflate things. I'll say something and I'll connect things that are not connected, but they seem right. And until I say it, and then I go, wait a minute, something's wrong there. And these are simple things at times that I do know. And going back to, and this could be, and I still haven't finished the book, is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. See, there again, I had to think of her name. It just didn't come immediately, and sometimes it takes a long time for me to draw it out. But in that case, it was like the convention of the son is married, so he's got, whatever, I can't remember the name, but let's just use Smith. And then his wife should be Mrs. Smith, but she's not Mrs. Smith because his mother is Mrs. Smith because she's still alive. And again, it's these things that I know, part of my brain knows that this is happening, and but it's still another part of it is sort of arguing with it or trying to line up with the thoughts. It's really hard to explain, and that's the only way that I can explain this. It's like other things where, I get on one topic, one thing, and I will sometimes, and it will repeat in my mind, and the wrong thing. And I can't sometimes shake it, or it's difficult to shake it. And there's all sorts of other things where there's simple things that you just don't know what to do. Like, there was a time where I didn't know how to use the can opener for a while. I looked at it and I go, I know what that is, but how do you use it? And it took me a few minutes to yank this information out. Other things, how do you unlock a door? How do you turn on the oven? All sorts of stuff like that. And it still happens to a lesser or greater degree. And it's also, this is something that's recent because I have already talked about this, that about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and that's hence that I needed the blood pressure monitor. I had an incident that could be a TIA or a minor stroke, because it was these kind of things, but ramped up big time. I looked at a picture, like I look at a book, the title, I couldn't figure out what that was, but I know a part of me knows what that is. It came back. It was about 45 minutes. It was rather scary for the time, but it did come back. But you see, it was scary, but it wasn't that scary because I had already been experiencing this for over 2 years on a lesser scale. But I got bollocked for it from friends and by the doctor and by the nurse that came and said that I should have called immediately to the ambulance, because by the time they looked at me, it was like, it wasn't bad enough that I had loss of feeling somewhere or anything like that. So but yeah, it's COVID. The long COVID is myriad, and it means that I can't work. Just think of these things where you can't get enough sleep, and in the middle of the day, I do need to take a nap, whether I'm sitting up or laying down. There's moments that I have clarity, but that can disappear, and I can be wide awake now, like I am now, like I'm a bit tired, but 10 minutes from now, I could be nodding off. It's like turning off a switch. I can't work. I can't go anywhere. Like my weakness. Like, there's helpful people who say, well, I should do X and Y to build up muscle, and my muscles are still pretty good. There's an internal tiredness, and if you do look into this, there's people that are athletes that can't do stuff anymore, and they're and I'm not saying that, like, I am wanting to lose weight, and I am losing weight a little bit here, and there's another program that I'm going to be on, hopefully, to try to lose some weight, and that can only help. But there's so many things going on here, and when you have long COVID, that you don't know what to expect on a daily basis. There's things that carry on all the time, and then there's new things that crop up almost daily. It's like anything out of the ordinary could be COVID. And then the other bad thing about this is that I'm blaming everything on COVID, and it may not be everything in COVID. There is things that are definitely COVID, but there's other minor things that may not be. But it's easy to label it, and the bad thing too is there isn't enough research for this out there. So, and this is just anecdotal evidence. I'm hoping that's why I'm doing this. I am opening myself up for everything, for ridicule, you name it, but fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But this is a thing, and there's times that I need help, and there isn't help available. I don't have family here. I don't have friends that are nearby enough that have vehicles to do things. And I don't have these things, and I'm on a very, very limited income, and it's very difficult to do things. And so occasionally I have had to ask people for help, and that's why I get this backlash of having ads on my channel and saying that I'm a prostitute for money and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, go F yourself, I'm trying to, survive. I'm trying to get enough money to actually get out and work. And the thing is too, like there are some benefits that I can potentially get, but I've been trying for 2 years for some things and it's not happening. It's like you get worn down by these things. And I'm not like it seems like I'm playing the violin, but no, I'm just, it's sort of like, I'm sure there's somebody else out there and I'm hoping that this could be helpful to somebody, and to understand too that, when I make a video, like I can't make videos slick like anybody else. It's not going to happen. I'm going to make slip ups. I'm going to make verbal mistakes, factual mistakes that I normally don't know. And the thing is, yes, I could listen back to everything. I can do all this stuff, and I'd like to do this a little more. But sometimes it's like you've got to realize it's a big effort to then re-record something, especially on here. I got to re-record. I've mentioned on the live, I've got a computer, but I don't have a monitor that I can use. So I can't use this computer. It's a year now almost that I've had this computer, but I don't have a monitor. And I need a monitor. And then with that, I can help myself to do other things as well. That's the idea. So I'm hoping, so I am trying obviously to increase the ad, because so far there's nothing else coming anywhere else. This is something that I feel that I have some control over. And if I can get enough in for that, then I can start doing a few things. Like I could start writing a little more. Like, yes, I'm trying to write because there's an article that I've been asked to write. At the moment, no enumeration on it, but is that correct? Yeah. See, again, right there, I'm not sure of the word. Remuneration. That's it. See, it took a while. But it'll at least get something out there. But I've got to put it into a Word document. So even if I write it out in hand, I've got to sit here on my tablet and tink, 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 or on my phone. For somebody that has long COVID, that is like torture to do that kind of thing. So, there's things like that, one thing maybe can help with the other, because I've after 2 years now, I have given up any hope of getting better fully. I have given up that hope and to going back to work. I've given it up because after 2 years, it's not going to happen. There's too many things that has caused health issues for me that I know that it's not going to happen. So I have to try to do something else. And, and like I say, my survival, has been books and Blu-rays and DVDs, because I've got so much stuff. And yes, I'm still trying to get new stuff because I am reading new stuff, and it's nice to be able to read with somebody else. And I don't have everything that there is. So when somebody's doing something, I go, oh yeah, I'd like to join on that. I don't have that. So I sort of need that. So hence, I try to, every month pare down everything to get a few pounds for books. Like we're talking, like I've cut everything down to nothing. But this is my survival coping with long COVID. And it's nice to be able to read something with somebody else, to have some kind of sociability, because I've got nothing in my real life here. I've got no one coming over to see me. And again, I'm not playing the violin here. I'm just saying these are things that are part of having long COVID. And if somebody has a support system, that's very good. Use it. If you've got a support system, use it. Because otherwise it gets kind of lonely out there. And I know I'm not the only person. and I know that I'm not as in bad a shape as other people, either physically or the fact that at least my waking hours, I've got something that I can occupy myself, books and movies. Many people have no outside interests. I don't know how they are coping, and I don't think they are. So, if you are one of those people, I don't know why you'd be watching this, because if you have an interest, if you're watching this, you'd think you'd have a interest in books, but maybe you're just looking at this video. But I would say find something, like whatever it is, to keep you busy and get your brain working. That's the biggest thing. So anyway, thank you. And I will be doing, like I say, a video every so often. I don't know if daily, on how things are going. And it'd be nice to be able to string things together just to record at some time when something is bad. But again, I can't do that with the equipment I have here. So, so you have to bear with me until, or if I can get that kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, if you have any questions, I am perfectly open to answer anything COVID wise, because people are going through this, and a lot of people are completely isolated, and for good or ill, I'm opening myself up for this, because I think it's helping me. It's just being cathartic for me, and it just might help somebody else. Thank you.